Very pleased to have in the studio with us Arctic campaigner and Antarctic campaigner Robert Swan, OBA. Robert, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, you're in Dubai, courtesy of Shell, to speak at the 7th Corporate Social Responsibility Conference. What will your message be?
I think the message really is that I've just come back from Antarctica, the last true great wilderness on Earth, and I think we've all got to think about how we use resources, how we are sustainable, and I think it's very, very important that people take that on board in this great nation here.
Well, it's a good time to have you in, Robert. I mean, for those who haven't heard us sort of talking you up this morning, you were the first person in history to walk both the North and the South Poles. You've raised $45 million for global causes. Very big lobbyist when it comes to protecting not just the Antarctic, but the environment in general, particularly when it comes to renewable energies. And as Malcolm just mentioned, you're speaking at a CSR conference. What are you making of what's going on at the moment with BP and this oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico when it comes to responsibility, when it comes to the actions being taken?
I think that, BP are an excellent company, and this is not something they did on purpose. It is an accident. But what is frightening is that even with all the technology in the world, we don't seem to be able to stem the flow. And I think there was something like 6 fail-safe systems to make sure that didn't happen, and all of them failed. And this, I think, will make people think about how much energy we use, how many resources, that perhaps we can cut back a bit. In a way, some of us are responsible because we are demanding more and more energy. I feel very sorry for BP, and I know that they will be taking this personally very, very serious as human beings out there. And, big oil companies, they do provide a service, and I think we need to think about, our part in that rather than just sitting back and saying, well, isn't it awful, and when are they going to fix it? I tell you, they'll be on it.
This has the potential to destroy coastal communities in the southern Gulf of Mexico shore of the US. Now, for yourself, Antarctic, you're an Antarctic campaigner, I suppose. Basically, you want to save the continent. And talk of drilling off areas like the Falkland Islands, etc. as well, must be of much more concern to you. If the same thing should happen down there, for instance, that could really affect Antarctica. Well,
I think Antarctica is the only place in the world that we don't own. All of us own, in fact. And it's a place that I think we need to make a stand and just say, hey, if none of us own it, let's leave it alone forever. It is concerning about drilling off the Falkland Islands, but it's still quite a long way away from the Antarctic. My goal is that by the year 2041, we will see enough sense to leave one place alone on Earth, and that's the Antarctic.
Now, you say 2041, and that is the name of your lobbying foundation as well, because that is the year that a moratorium, that an agreement on leaving the Antarctic alone comes up for debate, comes up for renewal. Why are you focusing so much on this date now? A lot of people could say, look, this is decades away. Are you trying to educate the generation that will be making those decisions?
Exactly, and that's why I'm really here in the UAE, is that I believe I must get to young people now. Because if we don't get to young people now, I might miss the boat. So my whole life is to find champions around the world who, look at sustainability, join big companies, make changes from inside companies, not go and hug a tree. They can do that at the weekend. But to get real about the fact that sustainability is an opportunity. And if get that message across to young people today, then in the future, hopefully by 2041, as we all know, actually 30 years goes pretty quickly. So I'm trying to get ahead of the game, a bit like a forest fire, get ahead of the game and do something now to get young people inspired. Just to leave one place alone on Earth, I don't think it's too much to ask.
Given that most of the world really runs on hydrocarbon-based energy, and given the sort of projections for population growth, if you just take China and India alone, do you think that sustainable energy will ever be able to support us by itself without hydrocarbon-based fuels?
You're exactly right, and I spend most of my time in China and India trying to inspire young people on that issue, because if the 400 million people in China who don't have electricity yet, and the 350 million people in India who don't have electricity yet, if they make the same mistakes that we've made perhaps in the West, in Europe and the United States, it doesn't matter what we do here. we're facing a fairly serious problem on climate change and disruption. So I think that there is probably something out there that will be a link between now and the future. I never thought I'd say it, but I think maybe even nuclear power is maybe part of the short-term solution. Long-term, I think we just need to be thinking. We need to be working on finding solutions. Obviously, oil isn't going to run out, but how we use it, I think, will change.